Question number 12, Catherine Delahunty.
Mr Speaker, thank you. To the Minister of Education, tēnā koe. Has she been consulted on education being included in the Trade and Service Agreement TiSA? And if so, have any concerns been expressed that this agreement could lead to foreign corporations suing New Zealand in relation to education provision?
Honourable Hekia Parata.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker.
Tēnā koe.
O te rā kia koe te mema. Yes, I have been consulted as part of the Cabinet decision to enter into negotiations on the Trade and Services Agreement and to establish parameters for which officials should engage in that process. The approach we are taking to these negotiations is consistent with New Zealand's existing international trade commitments on private education and reflects the priority we have always placed on advancing the export interests of New Zealand private education providers. In regards to the alleged dispute settlement provision referred to by the member, I am advised that no such provisions are under discussion.
Supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
Has she been advised that if education is included in TiSA, large foreign profit-making educational franchises could sue if New Zealand tried to stop them setting up schools here? Has she been specifically advised on that point?
Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr Speaker, I do not have primary responsibility for negotiating trade agreements. This particular agreement has been in a negotiation for 2 years. There have been 11 rounds of negotiation. The 12th is due in July. But as to the specifics, I have complete confidence in our Minister of Trade to seek any additional information should he require it. So no.
Point of order, Speaker.
Point of order.
Speaker, the questioner asked whether she was specifically consulted. She answered every other question but that.
Order. No. Again, if the member were just to wait for the answer to be completed, her final words were no. The question has been addressed.
My point of order, Mr Speaker. If that is the case, and she did get to it at the end, my point is, why was she allowed to go so long without answering the question?
Because I felt that the information she was giving was actually helpful to the House if members have a genuine interest in this matter. Supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
Can she rule out any large foreign education franchises demanding entry to New Zealand under the TiSA and running schools that don't follow our curriculum, exclude kids on the basis of ability and charge huge fees?
Honourable Hekia Parata.
Mr Speaker, once again, I don't have responsibility for this trade negotiation, but what I can tell the member is that we provide for private education in this country and it makes up 3.7% of our schooling options. As to international students, schools able to attract those students really value them. In terms of exporting our educational expertise to other countries, we are able to do that because they value that expertise. So we will continue to seek those opportunities both here and abroad.
Supplementary question, Catherine Delahunty.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Why is she and the National Government so intent on signing New Zealand up to trade agreements like TiSA and the TPPA that will open future governments wanting to protect the public interest to being sued?
Speaker.
Honourable Hekia Parata.
Because unlike that member, we understand that income allows us to therefore purchase the things that we want, whether they're called education, roads, hospitals, all the things that that member and her party bang on about don't happen by magic, they happen by earning income.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, Catherine Delahunty.
Mr Speaker, I seek leave to table the leaked TiSA Annex of Professional Services.
Order. I'm going to ask. I'm having trouble hearing. Can members start a point of order again?
I seek leave to table the leaked TiSA Annex of Professional Services document released today, just this morning.
The date of the document?
It's been released today, and the original date was September 2014.
Well, if it's being released today, it's going to be available to all members. There's no point in me tabling it.
I don't think it is available.
Order. We move to questions to members. Question number 1, Honourable Trevor Mallard.